Don Perkins. For the first 25 years of Olathe South, I coached assistant coach in football and the head baseball coach. Well, I think probably the people are what stick out the most. When Olathe South first opened, we were only 580 students, and everybody knew everybody, which was really nice. Probably my greatest coaching mentor was Bud Wheeler, who was the head football coach here, a true legend in the game, and some call him the father of Olathe football. I also have to mention longtime assistant Terry James. Terry was in the program starting in 1982. Our second year, he actually played baseball for me at Olathe High School. And he coached with us till the late 90s, 2 state championship teams, and then became the head golf coach. And then later rejoined us back in 2000 and was tragically killed in 2006. But he was a great assistant coach and really supportive of me and the rest of the team. Probably, that's hard to do. Yeah, I thought long and hard about this, but I think probably the game that was most significant to me was our second state championship game against Shawnee Mission South. When I first started the program here, that was the program that I wanted to emulate. They had 2,200 students, we had 580, and I knew it would take time, but I wanted our program to be based on that type of program that was well renowned through the area. And we faced off against them in 1994 in the state championship game. It was at KU Field, so a lot of people got over for the championship game. Stands were packed. We were down 7-4, probably in about the 5th inning, and we ended up tying it up, and it was tied up going into the 7th inning. And in the bottom of the 7th inning, they were home team. They had a guy hit a ball off the fence that everybody but a few of us thought was out. And we held him at second with 2 outs. And with 2 outs, they hit a ball that looked like it was destined to right field. Our first baseman, Andy Phelan, made a diving catch from his fanny, rolled over, and threw the guy out at first base to take it into the 8th inning. And in the 8th inning, we had a runner on third base with 1 out, and our leadoff hitter, Danny Cheesem, was up. Matt Gifford was on third. And it was interesting because Danny had been a pull hitter, and we worked very hard on him being able to drop bunts down the third base line, because third baseman had to play him deep. And so I gave a verbal sign. No one knew what was happening except Danny and Matt and I. And Danny put down a perfect bunt. And Matt scored standing up, put us ahead by 1 run. We go out in the bottom of the 8th inning. Dave Harrelson pitched in all 3 games in that state tournament. He pitched 7 innings in the first game, but he threw less than 90 pitches. Nowadays rules, he wouldn't be able to throw for 3 days. But at that time you could, and he actually pitched, he got the win in all 3 games. He pitched in the semifinal, the last 2 innings, and the last 2 innings in the championship game. And he went out and shut him down, and so we won our second state title, and it was probably, like I say, beating Shawnee Mission South made that an extra special moment. Well, I'm going to go way back on this one because I have to thank my parents. They were there for the state championship games. My dad was probably my first true mentor. He was my coach as a child, taught me to love the game, whatever game I was playing, taught me to respect the game and my opponent, and probably was the most influential person in my life. But like I say, after that, you know, I've got to think back to the assistant coaches. But I already mentioned Terry, but I was always blessed with many assistant coaches, and they were super. Good knowledge of the game, but very supportive of me and the kids. And I continually use that word supportive because I think that played a role in our program. We were blessed with great players. Very good players. I could go through a list a mile long, and they were outstanding individuals. They worked hard. They loved the game. But then their parents, we're very supportive of the program and of their children. And you can't do anything without, the team is much bigger than just the players or just the coach. It goes far beyond that. And that's one of the things that's nice about a state championship, is the fact that all those parents are there. Their families are there. It's such a big deal. And so I think that support of those players, those parents, and I can't go without mentioning my family. I mentioned my wife and my 2 sons. They obviously gave up a lot for me to spend the time that I did with the players and teams here to Lake the South, and I would be remiss without mentioning them. So all of those things make it special. You don't get anywhere up by yourself. You don't win any awards by yourself, and I definitely understand that I'm truly blessed. One of the things I hope it is that I was honest with my players and fair in their treatment. We had as many as 130 young men try out for Lake the South baseball at one time in 1 year. And cuts were terrible. We kept 55 players, had 4 teams, more than any other team in the state of Kansas and in the area. But we still had to make cuts due to facilities and those type of things. But it was very difficult on us, the whole coaching staff. But I hope in dealing with players, they will remember me, players that made the team, players that didn't make the team, that I tried to be honest with them and fair with them and make the decisions that I thought were best for the team. That's probably number one. Number two, the fact that I hope nobody outworked me. One of the things I always talk to our kids, we didn't want anybody to outwork us. We wanted to be the hardest workers. And so I hope that is also part of my legacy. And then finally the fact that I like to have fun doing what I do. Now I never found a way to lose games and have fun. And so I tried to make sure that my players knew that, hey, we wanted to work hard, but working hard would pay off in the end, and that's where the rewards were. And so it's a game. They call it a game for a reason. It's to be played. You should enjoy it. Well, I've talked to a lot of young coaches, and the first thing that I tell them, always, is I know they have a great passion for the game. You need to understand that your players don't have that passion for the game. You will coach maybe 5 or 10 of them in your career that have a true passion for the game like you do. It's part of their life. It's not always their true passion. So I encourage them to find out what the passion is of each player and each team, and use that to motivate that player, motivate that team, so that they can be successful. They're not going to have your passion. You can't expect them to have your passion. So that's rule number one. Second piece of advice I try to give them, don't set expectations on young players. You're going to make a selection of your team. There's going to be lots of information that goes into that. But make sure you understand that each player can exceed your expectations and their own expectations if they work hard and they put in the time and the effort. Don't ever think that somebody can't get the job done. So those are the 2 things I try to tell young coaches. And like I say, third, enjoy the moment. Forget the score. Try to get your kids and you yourself focus on the way your team performs, not the scoreboard. The scoreboard will take care of itself. Make sure you take care of how you play. You play the game right, you'll win your share of games. Well, first of all, I want to thank the administration of Lake the South for opening this Hall of Fame. I think it's a great way to recognize individuals and their effort. Not only myself, but the many others that are recognized and will be recognized. Second of all, I was very fortunate to be here when this school opened. I've seen many students achieve success, not always on the academic or on the athletic field, but in the classroom and in their life. I love it when I see a student out that I had 30 years ago and I see them on the streets. And they're doing well. Their family's doing well. They remember their great times at Lake the South. So number one, I want everybody in the future to know they can have that same thing. Just because they weren't here when it started doesn't mean they can't continue. And it is actually their obligation to continue that. I hope they enjoy their time at Olathe South as much as I did. My family has. It's a great place to grow up, learn life lessons, and be a real springboard. So I challenge those people of the future that are seeing this video to make Olathe South and keep Olathe South in high standard. Truly a blessing for me to have worked there.